An algebraic expression is a combination of variables, which are letters, and real numbers. The terms are the things in that algebraic expression that are separated by addition or subtraction, and the coefficient of a term is the number part of that term. So here's an example, 3x squared minus x plus 5. In that example, 3x squared is a term, negative x is a term, and 5 is a term. Of those terms, the coefficients are 3, -1, and 5. This is the first slide that you have in your notes. Please identify the coefficient of each term. Take a second and see if you can identify the coefficient of each of those terms. The first one, the coefficient is -5. What's the coefficient for B? 1. And how about C? -2/3. Right. Evaluate the expression for x equals -1. Side note, parentheses are your friend. If you are trying to do a negative number raised to an exponent, like, oh, I don't know, -1 squared, whether you have it in parentheses or not affects your answer. Ultimately, I'm going to tell you, plug these into your calculator. But if you don't use parentheses, your calculator will tell you the wrong answer. You have to tell your calculator exactly what you want it to do. So everywhere that you see an x, I want you to put parentheses directly around it, and then you're going to drop the -1 in place of the x in those parentheses. So for A, we would do -3, parentheses, -1 squared, minus, parentheses, -1, plus 5. This is not as important if it's a positive number that you're plugging in, but if you're plugging in a negative number, you absolutely need parentheses in there. Once you have this written with parentheses, plug it into your calculator, or if you want to do the math in your head, that's fine. So take a moment, plug it into your calculator. Did you get 3? For example B, this is absolute value. So we have the absolute value of 2 times our x value, -1, minus 3 times our y value of 4. 2 times -1 is -2. 3 times 4 is 12, and there was subtraction in front of it. So you can either think of that as minus 3 times 4, or you can think of it as -3 times 4. -2 minus 12 is -14. Honestly, you could have done all of the stuff inside the absolute value bars in your calculator if you wanted to, but the absolute value you need to do on your own. How do you find the absolute value of -14? What is that? Positive 14. Take a moment and evaluate the expression for each of the following. First, using +4 for x and +2 for y. Second, using +4 for x and -2 for y. When you have this big long division bar, it creates 2 groups. So you need to do everything on the top, do everything on the bottom, and then do the division at the end. That long division bar creates 2 groups. You need to do everything in the top group, everything in the bottom group, then divide. If you're watching the video, pause the video, try this out on your own. For part A, did you get 0/8? What is 0 divided by 8? 0. For part B, you should get 8/0. What is 8 divided by 0? Anything divided by 0 is undefined. If you forget Try it in your calculator. 0 divided by 8, your calculator tells you 0. You try to do 8 divided by 0, and your calculator will give you an error message because you can't divide by 0. Do you remember division in elementary school when they gave you like the little beans or the little counters and said, okay, here's like 15 beans, divide those into 3 groups, and you figured out that 15 divided by 3 was 5. Well, imagine that you have 8 beans, and I need you to divide them into 0 groups inside that box. How do you make 8 beans get divided into 0 groups? They'd have to disappear. They can't disappear, so it just doesn't work. 8 divided by 0 is undefined. Anything divided by 0 is undefined. Last example. An advertisement for a new pair of basketball shoes claims the shoes will help you jump 6 inches higher than without shoes. So that means that these shoes would help me jump 7 inches total. It's a joke. I can't jump. I'm not athletic. Anyway. All right, that joke wasn't very funny. I'll not use that one again. Let X represent the height in inches jumped without shoes. Write an expression that represents the height of a jump while wearing the shoes. So if X is your jump without, how do I put the 6 in there? Plus 6. You can jump 23 inches without shoes. How high can you jump while wearing the new shoes? 29 inches. Your assignment starts on page 56. 6, 14, 16, 46 through 52 evens, 82, 86, and 88.